Hello and welcome to Forest Park Stadium, where the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers are today taking on West Bromwich Albion. West Brom. So we'll see how this goes. This is our stiffest competition to date in the Barclays Premier League. We are 3-0-0, and we've won our only game in the English League Cup so far. But you've got to admit it's been against second-rate opposition. Today we're back in the Premier League after a long extra time game featuring mostly the Swindon Town Swoodilypooper B team. However, we've got our A team on the pitch for today, and today I'm going to talk about nihilism. That was a widely upvoted thing that people wanted me to talk about, or what is the meaning of life? Why is there meaning to life? Is there meaning to life? Why should I bother going on, etc.? I don't have necessarily great answers to those questions, but I have some thoughts on it. But first, let me tell you about our starting lineup. Look, we've got John Green and John Green starting up front. They're teammates in life and in love. French the Lana and twice as Vice on the wings. Made of Win is there in the back, bringing the speed and bringing the pain. D Mother Flippin' Fox is tired, so he's not starting today. He had a long game against Colchester. So, I mean, look, I sympathize with the feeling that nothing is worth doing and nothing is worth anything, etc. I understand the feeling, and I've had it. That should be my throw-in. But a foul, really? I don't think so. I've had that feeling many times before. I think I do think that there are sort of two views on this, right? There's the view that meaning in life is inherent, and then there's the view that meaning in life is constructed by humans. So there's the view that the meaning of life comes from outside of humanity, whether it's from God or nature or whatever. Sort of you see that in a lot of the romantic poets from the 19th century, not always in a specifically religious context, but in this sort of context that nature is itself a powerful. That was a little bit dangerous there. A sort of powerful driver of meaning and all that. I think there's something to that. So I'm not gonna say that life is not inherently meaningful the way that maybe some people would, because I don't all the way buy that. That was a great run by Made of Wind, but it was all for nothing. On the other hand, you can say that human beings construct meaning out of life, and we do that the best way we can, and however we do it is, you can't say that any way of doing it is wrong or inherently incorrect or anything, and that we make the meaning. That tends to be, I tend to find in the end quite a bit of comfort in that, even though a lot of people see that as this sad nihilistic thing that life is void of inherent meaning and it needs us to imbue it with meaning. Did I use that word correctly? I don't know. I'm sure you'll tell me in comments. Oh, it had to be, but it wasn't. And then it had to be again, but it wasn't. That should have been a penalty in my opinion. That guy was pushing other John Green around like it was nobody's business. All right. I tend to think that actually there's quite a lot of beauty and celebration to be had in this in us making the meaning out of life. And I think when we construct meaning in life, we do it a lot of times with through people we care about. I mean, a lot of the meaning of human life is wrapped up in the people that we get to live with and the people we get to love and know, and I think that's why life can feel sort of especially off the post, and that was terrifying. It was an amazing shot. Life can feel especially sort of terrifying and devoid of meaning when we feel those relationships aren't there in the way that we want them to be. And I definitely empathize with that because I've felt that before. But you also sometimes feel that means those relationships will never be there, and that's incorrect. I know it's incorrect because I've lived it, but I just promise it's incorrect. Those sort of interpersonal problems or the lack, if you feel a lack of offside, if you feel lack of love in your life and you feel that's going to be permanent, it's just not going to be. I know that it feels that way, and I don't want to delegitimize the feeling or say that it's not serious, because the feeling is very serious and it is very legitimate. Because the future isn't very relevant to people emotionally, but it is going to get better. It always gets better. or at least that's been my experience. Oh, what a beautiful goal from Paul John Green! He turns and he shoots, and it's a goal! Oh, my gosh. Oh, he's big, he's brash, he has a nice mustache. Paul John Green. Paul John Green. Oh, it was great. That's the kind of goal that you didn't see from the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers last season, if I may make such a bold statement. You didn't see us, turning and shooting. You saw a lot of sort of goals from 5 yards out or something. You didn't see us making those big, bold decisions that make it all possible. So that's great to see. Oh, he was offside. Anyway, it got saved. But he was well offside, it must be said. I don't know what he was thinking there. So for me, like a lot of meaning in life is wrapped up in those relationships and the pleasure that they bring me, and the pleasure of conversation, the pleasure of sort of like working together with people you love to make stuff that you care about, whether it's a child or a home or a video blog or whatever. And then the other thing that makes life feel very valuable, or another thing I should say, is feelings of community, being part of a community, and the more connected I feel to the community that I'm part of, the happier I am, and the more I feel like there is meaning in my life. A really good example of this is Nerdfighteria. But another like and I think like in a lot of ways for me, Nerdfighteria has been my central community for most of my or at least for most of my like the last 5 years. Like I've lived in New York or Indianapolis or wherever, but like my real community has been this weird internet community. That's very difficult to explain to people, but like that really has been my experience of it. Like the central, connections and fulfillments that I find are the things that this community does. And so like when Indianapolis hosts the Super Bowl, I feel a measure of civic pride, but I feel a lot more civic pride when Nerdfighteria raises $1 million on Kiva. So like that's a huge part of what makes my life feel meaningful, is feeling like I'm a part of this community. And that's true in much smaller communities too. Like it's true of when I was, or not just smaller, but like communities in which like I'm not the like sort of central person or one of the central people. Like I was a very like in the sports racer community or the Lonely Girl 15 fan community or whatever. Like in all of those places, I felt like great senses of connection and shared purpose and doing stuff together, and it was really fun and interesting and I was really passionate about it. And that feeling of like passion and enthusiasm is something that you kind of can't buy, but makes life feel very valuable. And I think like that's a place where you're giving meaning to life, but it is also that just because you're giving it doesn't mean it's not real. I feel the same way about the Swindon Town Swoodilypoopers and also about the Swindon Town Swoodilypooper fan community. But another interesting example of that for me is that, for many years, like I lived in Indianapolis, but I didn't really think of myself as like a resident of this place. But in the last couple of years, I've started to feel that sense of civic pride, that sense of connection to the community. And I found that it's really, really valuable, and it feels really, really good to feel like I'm a part of of this place, and to like it. Sorry, I'm not crying. I'm just, maybe I am. No, I'm not. My throat's just dry. And to feel like connected to it and everything, like that's super valuable to me. Oh, Paul John Green was standing there ready for the cross. I couldn't get it to him because of my own insufficiency as a human being. I apologize. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, it had to be, and it was. The last possible defender said, "This will not stand." West Brom is not going to score today, friends. Okay, here he goes. Here he goes. To his husband! Oh! It was too unselfish. It was too unselfish. We also had Merrick crashing there. What we should have done is pull it all the way back to Merrick. Too unselfish. That's so often the case with the John Greens. They love each other almost too much at times. And And that's I love seeing that, obviously, as their coach. Like, it's beautiful, but like I want to see, oh, it's a fantastic goal, and it's from Basanta. He doesn't even have a song yet. His first goal as a Swoodilypooper in only his 4th game. Our center back, he's a finisher. I've always had confidence in that guy. One of the 2 new Brazilians we have, and look at him. Typical Brazilian finisher. You can put him in defense if you want, but he's going to score sometimes because he's Brazilian, and they like to score. Context is everything. So, to me, that's where the meaning of life is. Like, the meaning of life is wrapped up in the communities that you build and become a part of, and the stuff that you make with those people. And ultimately, like, that's why I like doing stuff and making stuff, because I want to feel like a part of something. I want it, and I want other people to feel like a part of something. I know from experience how good that feels and how meaningful that can be. And so, in some ways, like, we need to do a better job of that. We need to make it easier. We need to make it easier to connect to other nerd fighters and stuff. It's really hard. It can be really hard to build those things in the way that you want to, or the way that we want to anyway. But yeah, I that's something, like, when I think about, like, what we need to do better, that's the main thing I think about, because there's so much. I don't know. There's just so much meaning there. There's so much to be excited about. I find my life is the most meaningful when I'm not, like, wondering if nihilism is the appropriate response to the human condition. But I really don't believe that it is. I really do believe that we have cause for, that was a terrible pass, that we have cause for, like, truly, like, existential hope, like hope in the grandest sense of the word. It was not a foul! It's frustrating. 89th minute, we should have been up 3-0. But you got to say, another dominating performance from the Swoodilypoopers on professional skill level. It's 2-0. This is fantastic for our goal differential. I know that we're not playing Liverpool and Arsenal and the like, but, like, these are teams in the Premier League. They're teams that have a chance every weekend, just like any other. And I'm really, really proud of the way our guys are playing. I like the give. We're having a lot more give and go. We're communicating well. We're setting the offside trap nicely, even when the referee doesn't call it. And one thing we're not doing is giving up goals. Knock on wood. Our opponents have hit the post a couple times, but if I'm not mistaken, we haven't given up a goal this season. It's great stuff. Our opponent's squad in shame. Sorry, West Brom, but you just got Swoodilypooped. Thanks for watching. Best wishes.